Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Old Glory Games podcast. My name is Kyle. On behalf of Greg, my partner in crime, we are excited to talk about one of my favorite athletes of all time, and that's Tiger Woods. And Greg, I would consider Tiger Woods is probably the only golfer I consider an athlete. What do you think? That's not fair for some of the new players now, but before him, I'd say that.
Yes, I think it would be a very short list when you look at how Tiger is built and how John Daly's built. So just to give you a reference point. But yeah, Tiger Woods, definitely an athlete, definitely transcendent when you talk about athletes and rising above and beyond their particular sports. I know from an ethnicity perspective, his rising onto the scene was a big deal because, let's be honest, I could probably count on one hand how many black golfers there were before him that reached any level of success. I can think of Lee Elder, and I can think of, oh gosh, that other guy's name escapes me. I'm sorry. It may come to me before the end of the broadcast, but there was one other black golfer that I remember watching, maybe like in the 80s or something, but the list is very short.
Vijay Singh?
No, Vijay Singh's like,
I know. Yeah,
but
it's not. Yeah, I was pretty funny.
But he was darker for sure. Yeah, but not Vijay.
Right.
Not Vijay. But yeah. So to have somebody like Tiger come along that was not only just so very skilled at the sport, but to be as athletic and fit as he was, and again, I remember the clip, and you've probably seen it, when he was like, 3 years old, and I think he was on the Mike Douglas show, or was it Dick
Cavett, and also That's Incredible. Both.
Yeah, with his father.
Yep.
And that was just so neat to see, and his father was so instrumental in getting him into the game, and there was such an excitement around Tiger Woods' rise to prominence. Didn't he play golf at Stanford? Didn't he?
Yes.
Okay. Super talented there, and the hype around him starting on the PGA Tour was just something to behold. Now, I will say I'm a Jack Nicklaus guy. So when Tiger came along and they're like, oh yeah, well, we're already projecting that he'll beat Nicklaus's, I think, majors win title and some of the other records that were out there for the taking.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Records that people thought probably could not be broken. Tiger changed a lot of minds as far as the possibilities of that. But when he was at his peak, you can remember during broadcasts of for majors how the analysts would say, okay, who are you taking, Tiger or the field?
Yeah.
And a lot of them took Tiger.
Yep.
That's how dominant he was. It was just amazing to see it, and just the interest that he generated in golf in general. I mean, I'm not saying nobody talked about golf, but a whole lot more people started talking about golf than they used to. And a lot of it was around, well, what did Tiger do today? Or how did Tiger play today? Or did you see what Tiger did? I mean, it was at that level, almost like, what did Jordan do today? Or some of the very legendary figures in sports across different sports. It was kind of like that. And for golf as a whole, he definitely generated interest at a level that had not been seen in a while. So he was certainly good for the game of golf and just the excellence that he brought to it. And it's something because when you think, it's like, well, okay, who were Tiger Woods' rivals? Well, I mean, there was a stretch where he really didn't have a rival. That's how dominant he was. You might say Phil Mickelson, but I mean, beyond that, I don't think he really had any or many serious contenders. So just to run through a few stats attributed to him that are just mind-boggling, and then I'll kick it back to you so you can give some of these things a little bit more context. So Tiger Woods, of course, you know, we were talking about the GOAT as far as women's tennis in one of our previous episodes. So Tiger is certainly in that rarefied air as far as the all-time greats in golf. From 1997 through 2009, there were 52 players with 100 or more rounds in major championships. The best cumulative score to par in that group, Tiger Woods, 134 under, Phil Mickelson, plus 99, Ernie Els, plus 118. Every other player in that group was 275 plus shots behind Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods holds the record for most consecutive cuts on the PGA Tour with 142.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. The streak
explain what a cut is for the audience.
Okay, so I think after the first two rounds, a cut line is established. So let's say, like, I guess for like a par 72 course, let's say the cut line is you've got to be, let's say 2 over or under that in order to make the cut. I'm just pulling something out of the air, but you had
it's relative to par, yeah.
Yeah. So you had to have a certain score in order to move on to the third and fourth round. So that's the cut line. So you can imagine with these tournaments, even the greatest, they're going to have an off round or they're going to have an off couple of rounds. And, you know, they may have a stretch where it's like, you know, they're hitting a bunch of bogeys, you know, they're over par one of those rounds. Now they're having to scramble to make the cut. There's a lot of pressure there, especially in majors. So after saying all that, and I'll repeat this, he holds the record for the most consecutive cuts on the PGA Tour with 142, beating by 29 the previous streak held by Byron Nelson for 60 years.
And Byron Nelson was good, in case you don't know.
Very good.
He's got a tournament named after him, I think.
Yeah, the Byron Nelson Classic, if I'm not mistaken. So Woods' 82 career PGA Tour victories are tied with Sam Snead for the most in tour history. Tiger's 15 major championships are 3 behind Jack Nicklaus and 4 ahead of Walter Hagen. The only players to reach double digits in men's majors. I did not know that till this evening.
Neither did I.
Amazing. Woods joined Ben Hogan as the only players in the modern era to win 3 major championships in the same year, when he won the U.S. Open, British Open, which I think now is just called the Open, and the PGA Championship. Woods' victory at the 2001 Masters gave him 4 straight major titles, a feat never accomplished in the modern game. Only Bobby Jones in 1930, then counting amateur titles, won 4 in a row. For good measure, Woods also added the so-called 5th major in 2000, capturing the Players' Championship 2 weeks prior to his Masters victory. We talked about the all-time record for consecutive cuts. Woods is the only golfer to win the U.S. Amateur 3 times in a row. Woods' 2000 scoring average of 67.79 adjusted and 68.17 non-adjusted is the lowest in PGA Tour history.
Wow.
Woods is one of only 5 players to complete the career Grand Slam, winning the Masters, U.S. Open, British Open, and PGA Championship in his career. The others to do so are Gene Sarazen. I'm sorry, never heard of him. Ben Hogan.
Yeah, he's good.
Is he? Okay. Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus.
All Hall of Famers. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Woods has been voted PGA Tour Player of the Year 11 times. A PGA Tour record. Now, hold on to your hats for this next one. Tiger has been ranked number 1 in the world for a total of 679 weeks.
Weeks, not days.
Weeks. Yes. So just to do a little quick math, there are 52 weeks in a year. So over 10 years. That
might never ever be broken.
I seriously doubt it. Woods held the top spot for 280 consecutive weeks from June 2005 through October 2010. Woods is the only player since 1900 to win a men's professional major by 10 strokes or more, the 97 Masters by 12, and a 2000 U.S. Open by 15.
Yeah.
Woods, I mean, that's just incredible. Woods has won at least 5 tournaments in 10 different seasons. So just a little taste of what Tiger accomplished in his career. Unfortunately, later in his career, he's had injuries. I think he had multiple back surgeries, multiple knee surgeries. So it's been a challenge for him to even enter tournaments, just getting himself physically ready to do so. He's got some well-publicized marital issues that he had. His personal life was not in a good place for a while. That should not take away from his achievements in golf. But there for a while, we were talking more about those types of incidents rather than what he was doing on the golf course. But Tiger Woods, like I said, a transcendent figure in sports, because during that run, when you talked about golf, you always talked about Tiger Woods, and a cultural, I think, icon as well. And, some of the commercials he was on, I mean, he was in one of the little penny commercials. You remember those?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. Yeah, he absolutely was. And again, injuries really derailed his career. But yeah, Penny Hardaway was a fantastic player. But yeah, he was in a little penny commercial and some other things. But yeah, culturally. And the thing is, and I don't talk about race a whole lot on here, but I think it's relevant here. Black people in general, who normally didn't pay any attention at all to golf, started paying at least some attention when Tiger came along. And the other thing is, Tiger doesn't really regard himself or identify as black per se. He's multiracial. He's got a term for it as far as what he identifies as far as ethnicity, but it's not just black. But I mean, everybody certainly embraced Tiger, but black people certainly embraced him because, again, I named one other black golfer, Lee Elder, and I could not think of the other gentleman. I'm sure at 3:00 this morning,
I can look it up.
It'll pop in my head. I can see his face just as clear as day, and I just can't remember his name. But I think I'll come up with it sooner or later. So it was just exciting, I think, to a lot of black people to see somebody that looks like them excel in a sport that blacks just weren't known as excelling at. So
Charlie Sifford.
That's one of them, not the one that I'm thinking of though.
Okay.
If as you find them and name them, it'll be one of them, sure. But yeah. Thank you. Now I can rest easy tonight. Calvin Pete. Now I can get a good night's sleep. Yes, Calvin Pete. That's the one that I was thinking about. And that was it. I mean, I really couldn't think of any other black golfers besides those guys. So Tiger was a monumental talent and figure, not only in golf, but in the world of sports. He made a lot of people pay attention to golf that would not normally pay attention to golf. And that's a big deal. So he deserves a ton of credit for that. He certainly deserves a ton of credit for the career and the dominance that he enjoyed. Because again, it's, week after week, it's like, okay, who you got, Tiger or the field? And a lot of people picked Tiger, and they were smart, because there was a run where more times than not, especially in the big tournaments, he was the winner or close to it. So I can't say that I've watched a lot more golf because of Tiger, because, when I was, younger, like, little kid, maybe 8, 9, 10, so somewhere in there, I'd watch golf some. Like I said, Jack Nicklaus was my favorite. So I would try to watch him as much as I could. I was tickled beyond compare. I think when in 86, he won the Masters at 46 or something like that. I thought that was just tremendous. So I really didn't watch more golf than I did back then, when Nicklaus and Tom Watson and Lee Trevino and that's a blast from the past. And those guys were playing, but I certainly paid attention, and I would usually watch the majors anyway. And I'm like, is somebody going to beat Tiger? Because once he got in the lead, he didn't get that lead up. It was almost like, okay, who's going to come in second? Because once especially going into the final round, he was not going to blow it. It's like, okay, who's going to come in second? Because that's what it boiled down to. So that's what kind of dominance we're talking about when it comes to Tiger Woods. And I'll be honest, I was pulling against him as far as breaking the majors record at 18, because a lot of people were like, he's going to smash that record, because he was on pace to not only tie it, but obliterate it. For a while, it's like, he's going to win in the 20s before he's done. But again, injuries and some other things derailed that. Unfortunately, I certainly wouldn't wish that on him. But, I was hoping somehow, Nicklaus could hang on to it, and he did. But there were so many other areas where Tiger Woods' numbers were just off the charts. And I think on so many levels, he was just so great for such a long period of time. And my hat's off to him. I mean, he brought an interest and awareness to golf that hadn't been there in probably a long time. And I think even now, to me, at this point in his life, I know his son is getting into golf and playing golf, and I think he's caddying him now. It's just neat to see pictures of him with his son. Even if Tiger never plays another tournament or another major, I mean, I really hope that he can thoroughly enjoy that time with his son, just like he enjoyed with his father. I mean, that's just so special. So hopefully he doesn't feel the pressure to try to, get that creaky, aching body of his, back into shape one more time just to please the fans or just to please the media. If you want to do that, but don't feel compelled to do it if you don't want to. Enjoy your time with your son and be involved in his budding golf career. But yeah, Tiger Woods, certainly one of the all-time greats. And not that I watched him a lot, but when I did watch him, it's like, man, nobody's going to beat this guy. I mean, it was just amazing to watch as far as his level of excellence and dominance were concerned.
Yeah, that's well said. I'm actually going to give you a personal experience with him. I'll give you my personal perspective of Tiger Woods. I was at a time I was trying to learn how to play golf, and of course Tiger Woods came out, and we kind of knew about him from in DC. There's a guy named George Michaels. He had a show called The Sports Machine. He had a thing on Tiger Woods back in the 80s, and of course I saw That's Incredible, and I didn't see Dick Cavett, but I did see those two. And here's this kid, and I think what people don't understand is that he idolized Jack Nicklaus. Not just his majors, but his junior record. And so he had Jack Nicklaus won like two junior records, and then like junior records, and there's like another amateur record. So I think Jack Nicklaus won 5 in a row. Tiger won 6. So he won 3 in a row junior record. Then he won like the amateur championship 3 in a row, and the last one was like clutch. I mean, like a 15-foot putt for clutch to win it. And so that was it. So when he became pro, it's like, he just blew it open. And so I'm gonna tell you why Tiger was why he is. I think part of it is his ethnicity. He had a dad in his life who was a military guy, strong physical, and his mother, very sound. She was very spiritual. She encouraged him to wear red on Sundays for spiritual reasons. Very tight mentally. His family was intact. He didn't have the kind of money. I think he grew up in Juniper, Florida, I believe, or that's where he moved to. And so they couldn't get on golf courses. And so what they would do was they would sneak on the golf courses and play in the dark. And Tiger and his dad would basically call their own shots. They would shoot it and guess where the ball went and go find it. So it encouraged them to hit the ball straight down the fairway. And so I remember one time, I think it was a PGA Championship. It was getting dark. They decided to play late on Sunday. And it was so dark, they were thinking about calling it off with like two holes to go. And Tiger was just hitting down the fairway like nothing. And then when he ended up winning, they were like, well, what's up? He said at the after the tournament, after the major, he won. Yeah, me and my dad stuck on golf courses, and we would hit it down the fairway. So this is nothing. So, I mean, the stuff he's done in his career is just legendary. Even the thing he did with that, he would do this demonstration where he'd take his golf club and like do that thing between his legs and pop the ball up. That was real. He was doing that commercial on Nike. He was just messing around in front of the people, and the camera was rolling, and he decided to make it into a commercial.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Man's nuts. He had Jack Nicklaus posters on his wall, and all of that. And so in 97, he won the Masters for the first time. I think he won by 12 strokes. He destroyed the course because he could bench press 300 pounds. And he had a kind of swing called the inverted C, which we all knew wasn't going to last. He was going to break his back by the age of 30. He changed his swing because of that, because he knew it wouldn't be longevity. But he was crushing the ball like 350, 360, 370. And driving the green, I mean, turning a par 4 into a par 3. And it was unfair. And so they lengthened the courses. So they call so-called tiger-proof courses, made them much longer. There's a funny quote of him as an amateur. He's like a little kid, says, "So Tiger, so this is a undulating green from left to right, dogwood. Are you gonna hit it on the slope on the thing, or are you gonna hit it for the angle at the curve of the dogwood? What are you aiming for?" He said, "I'm aiming for the tee box. I'm aiming for the hole." So he had this attitude, kind of like this Arnold Palmer, attitude as well. But of course, that wasn't sustainable. His game improved and became a good scrambler. He hit the ball into the fairway, off the fairway into the rough. He would scramble, figure out ways of making creative shots because of the skill set to get up and down for a par. So leading into my story here, if you look at this particular list of career wins, this is July 5th, 2009. So this is a picture of me. This is the AT&T National up in Washington, D.C., near Washington, D.C. And it was his tournament. And so my buddy, who's done stuff on this channel before, his name is Rick Goodell, and his buddy Nick. That's at the tournament in the locker room. These guys were guardians of the locker room for the tournament. So they asked me, "Hey, Kyle, you wanna hang out with us for this tournament?" I said, "Cool." So I didn't have any credentials. As long as I was with them in the cop car, walking with them, I didn't need credentials, right? They were my credentials. So I went actually on the course and followed Tiger Woods the entire course. And he actually won that tournament by a couple of strokes, I think it was. And so there was a time when he was there and I was able to get access whenever I was in the locker room. By the way, the time this picture was taken, you see it? His wife, right before he got divorced, was in the locker right around the hall. If you turn it right there, straight back, there's like a players area where she was in there with their newborn child, nursing him, cheering on their father on TV. It was a really sweet thing to watch in real time. You know, this is behind the scenes in the locker room. And this is Anthony Kim's wife. He's a golfer at the time. And behind you see Tiger Woods teeing off there on that particular picture. So that's, again, in the locker room, clubhouse, whatever. So good stuff there. And Tiger Woods was actually on a golf cart. I'm walking, walking around, whatever. He comes around in this golf cart. This guy's driving him. He's not driving. He looked square eye to eye to me, and I almost passed out. I was like, I'm not a starstruck kind of person. I met a lot of people in my life that are fairly important, congressional people, that kind of stuff. But I was like, he looked right in my eyes. And,
wow.
I was like, we were like 15 feet away. So anyway, that's that. That's my story of Tiger. But little did we all know, Greg, only a few months after this particular time, but June 9th, July, I think that's June 9th, whatever it was, 2009. That's when he got into the thing with his wife in November around Thanksgiving. So it was only a few months away before tragedy hit. So that was his last tournament within then. And I think he lost the tournament after that in terms of his sponsorship. But he ended up winning it a few years later. Again, he won it 3 years later, 2012. So, but Tiger Woods, a phenomenal player, had all the skill sets. And just like Wilt Chamberlain, they had to change the game so that he couldn't dominate like he used to, because his strategy was this. So you have a 72 par course. Of those 72, you have 4 par 5s. Okay. He would just par, the par 4s, par the par 3s, maybe get a birdie here and there, whatever, but he would birdie all the par 5s. So he's guaranteed a par 4 no matter what every round. And so then, we can't have that. And so Masters became much longer. The fairways became much more narrower, and so forth. And the last thing I'll say about Tiger Woods is another thing. I'll say this again about Tiger Woods is that I watched every single major he played in. Every single round of every single major he played, of all 15, I watched every single round of each and every one. It was like, and I watched the ones he lost too, not the ones if he was in contention, I definitely was going to stay watch the rest of them, but that's that. And also, the last thing I'll say about Tiger Woods is there was one shot that he'd had. It was at the U.S. Open, and this is at Pebble Beach. And you maybe find this on YouTube. I watched this live. So this is a tee shot, famous tee shot. This is ridiculous. This guy's Tiger Woods is insane. It's a tee shot of a major on Pebble Beach in California. To the left, there's like cliffs and rocks and crap, right? So you can't go to the left, right? So most people would just go to the right and hope for the best, whatever. Well, Tiger hit the tee shot and shanked it off the rocks, down the cliff, into the water, and he had F this mother. He was cussing like a storm, right? And the commentator was like, ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry about what you're hearing. Tiger Woods language, yeah, whatever. So what does Tiger Woods do? Does he take a stroke penalty and take a drop up further? No, he does a tin cup where he takes the ball and puts it right back on there, takes the same tee shot from where he is, and hits it right down the fairway, the second shot. I was like, that kind of stuff ingratiates to that kind of player. This is like his third or fourth major he won. He won that U.S. Open, I believe, by about 15 strokes, I think, whatever, or something ridiculous. So anyway, Greg, I could go on and on about Tiger, but that's my memories of him. Most of them are fond. I was really hurt by what happened with him, with his life and his scandals. It hurt me to the core because people were talking about him and made him a joke out of him. And I was like, man, but you reap what you sow, and that is what it is. But hopefully history will look back on him in much positive light.
Yeah, so those were very cool pictures, by the way. Very nice.
They're still on the screen. I'll take them off. I guess so. Okay, good.
No, they're off the screen, but yeah, thanks for sharing those very good pictures. And I'm glad you were able to have a personal experience as far as Tiger Woods is concerned. That had to be pretty cool. And when you have athletes of that renown and magnitude, and you are you have an emotional investment in them as far as, following their careers and cheering for them and all of that. When they have difficulties or when they fall, it is hard, but they're human. And that's one thing that sometimes we kind of forget because they're so good at what they do. I mean, you can look at a lot of different athletes at that level of dominance and excellence. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. Look at how his life unraveled when he was on top of the boxing world. Muhammad Ali, to maybe a lesser extent, he had a few wives too. And I can think of, I want to say it was Manila before he fought Joe Frazier, when he introduced his then girlfriend, Veronica Porsche. She was like a model, introduced her to the president of the Philippines. I guess it was Marcos at that time, as his wife.
Oh, wow.
And his actual wife was back in the States. Oh, no. And I think she heard about it, Belinda, and she promptly hopped on a plane and flew to the Philippines and confronted Ali. And I heard that was not a pretty sight. So,
I bet it wasn't.
And Joe Frazier was probably the least of his concerns at that point.
Right, sure. Yeah.
But we can name a whole lot more athletes like that kind of fall from grace a little bit. But, Pete Rose is another one, and there are many more. But I think it's important to, focus on what they did, on the court or on the course or in the ring or whatever it is, and try not to get too wrapped up with them to where something like this, changes your view of what they did, when they competed. Again, they're human beings and they're going to fail, and they're going to fail us as fans. So we need to remember that. And we need to remember that, when they're going through difficulties like that, they're human just like us. Pray for them, and understand that again, they're human and they will fail, and they're going to run into rough spots. So that none of that should take away from their achievements. And on down the line, all the people that I mentioned that had their difficulties, I don't think any of those things tarnish their career legacy. And I think the same should be said for Tiger Woods. I don't know that we'll ever see a talent like his again, unless his son rises to that level. It's certainly possible. But, for me, again, Tiger Woods, not my favorite player, but I certainly appreciated his talent and his dedication to the game and his importance as far as bringing golf to a level, again, that I don't think had been seen in a long time, and just the talent this man had for so long. So, again, I hope he can enjoy, if he's done playing, I hope he can enjoy his retirement and being involved in his son's career. If his son decides to go on and play on the PGA Tour, more power to him. I'm sure Tiger would really enjoy seeing that. And
like LeBron.
Yeah. Well, that's
Bronny.
That's another podcast. Yeah, as he's been picked with the 55th pick of the draft by surprise the Lakers. Yeah, I'm sure we'll do another show on that. But
yeah, don't ask who's 56 though.
Yeah, because we don't know. ESPN didn't bother mentioning who the 56th pick was because they were too busy talking about Bronny being picked. You can't make this stuff up. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I'm hoping that that Tiger can enjoy that time with his son like he enjoyed with his father, and that's, it just makes you feel good, you know. And it's touchy to see that, regardless of whether you're a fan of Tiger Woods or not. I mean, to me, that's a human moment, and he should be commended for it. And you know, I'm hoping his son does well if he decides to, you know, turn pro at some point. I hope he's successful at it and that Tiger can enjoy it. But yeah, just a phenomenal player, you know, probably a once in a lifetime type talent. And it's really neat that, he was a fan of Jack Nicklaus, you know, certainly one of the all-time greats, and that he aspired to reach the successes that he did. But yeah, Tiger will be somebody that, you know, young golfers coming along now can point to and say, I want to be like him. You know, I want to achieve that level of excellence. I want to be like Tiger Woods. Wasn't there some kind of campaign, I am Tiger or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. It was little Penny alluded to that in the commercial. I keep thinking about that commercial and laughing. It was just hilarious. But so yeah, I think he's certainly an inspiration to a lot of young golfers out there to try to achieve what he's achieved, but most of all to strive for a level of excellence that we've not seen in decades. So my hat's off to him. He's had a fantastic career, and we may not see another talent quite like that. So I think we're both fortunate to have seen him play.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame too. He was inducted 2 years ago. So another thing about Tiger was he was a very good team player. He won one Ryder Cup, which was, I'm sure he wish he could win more of those, but the President's Cup, he won a bunch of those, but 9 of those. Really good clutch and team elements as well. He was so good that they made sure that the entire team uniform was red so that they wouldn't mess up Tiger's Sunday appearances. That's how good he was. They changed uniforms just for him, just so you have a red jerseys or red shirts. I want to mention one thing. You mentioned about him being a father now. One of the most emotional moments was after he died. So after his dad died, the first major he won after his dad died. And I remember this. It was one of the most grueling things I've seen. And it showed you how good he was as a golfer and how he could stay in the moment. It was a tight, I think it was the PGA Championship. I may be mistaken, but that's one of the majors. His dad had died not fairly recently from then. And his dad was the guy who, you know, was the reason why he, you know, was to be successful. He did whatever he could to make sure his son was successful. And so it was like the last round. It's like he was up 1. He had to par everything else. He couldn't, because in golf, you can go back, right? If you score a basket in the NBA or any sport for that matter, you don't lose points. But in golf, you can lose points. Look, you know, you can ask many people about that, and they can go back. And so he was struggling. And so he was hitting the ball into the rough, and every shot was a challenge. He was trying to scramble, get up and down for pars, maybe a bogey here, and you have to figure out how to get a birdie next hole. And so as he's coming down the last 18 hole, he had to get a par to win, or wherever he had to win. And he ended up doing it. And he was just so methodical. And at the end of it, he just broke down in tears right after he won. And you could just tell his wife was there, his kids were there, and it was just a really, really emotional experience. And to see that, and to see how he could just focus. Every shot is just, in and of itself, it's capsule in time. That's it. And the next shot, that's it. It's the only thing that matters is the next shot, and keeping it like that. And I think if more people in sports could do that, they win a way more stuff. I think if Serena Williams could do that, she would have won 40 majors, because she choked on a bunch of them. I saw them, and I was happy she choked on each one she did. But that's my last take on Tiger. So any additional thoughts you have on Mr. Woods, Greg?
No, not really. Again, I'm just glad that I was able to watch him, at least some, play, because when you're watching somebody at that level, I don't even know that you realize it at the moment necessarily, because you're just all wrapped up into how great this person is performing and at what level. He kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan. And when you spoke of how emotional Tiger got when he won after his father passed, that's kind of like Jordan when he won that championship not long after his father died. He just collapsed in the floor crying, So there are a lot of similarities between those guys as far as just how absolutely great they are. And also, when you're in the moment watching them, that they're one of the all-time greats. But, after some time goes by and after they've left the game and you reflect on it, especially when you see guys playing those respective sports today, it really hits home how great those guys were, because none of the guys today even come close to comparing. So I think we're fortunate to have been able to see some of the all-time great athletes that we've seen over the years, and people will be talking about them for decades and decades to come. So I'm really glad that we had that opportunity, and best of luck to Tiger Woods with anything he does as far as playing, if that's what he wants to do, and also with his son, because those are moments that are kind of once in a lifetime moments, and hopefully he can enjoy them all and get the most out of them, because it's brief in the grand scheme of things. So
it really is.
Hats off to him. Yeah.
Well put. We'll put an end to that there. We'll let that be the last word. And thank you for that, Greg. If you guys want to ask us any questions here, come to us at email podcast@theconservativetake.com. That's podcast@theconservativetake.com. Or leave a comment somewhere anywhere, actually, Facebook, our Facebook group, or on YouTube. Any of the videos, we see them, we'll collect them, we'll have a show about them, and we'll go through them. We've done that before. Greg, did you like that episode we did, the live stream of answering responses?
I did. I enjoyed it. And actually, a little while ago, my son asked me, do you guys take requests as far as topics? I'm like, we sure do. So that's certainly an opportunity where we can do that. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm looking forward to doing it again at some point in the future. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I had fun too. All right. Well, cool. Well, with that being said, we're going to leave it there. And Tiger, if you're watching this, I'm still pulling for you, my friend. And if you remember me, I was the guy. Well, don't worry about it. You probably don't remember me. Anyway, we'll see everybody in the next one.
Yes, take care. And Calvin Pete, I won't forget it now.
Calvin
Appreciate
Pete. it. Yeah, I was thinking about Charlie. I was thinking Charlie Pryor for a second there.
In a weird way, I was too. It's like, wait a minute.
Really? I'll see you guys.
All right, take care.